This week on the podcast, John Hanna. How much does it cost to put on a festival like this?
It's gotten incredibly expensive, millions of dollars. Aiming to keep it smaller so that it maintains this intimate community feeling, I think is definitely a big priority. I hope that through growing the festival that we can continue to find people that are willing to collaborate on that level.
We wouldn't be doing this if there wasn't fans. And we're live. The internet allowed this to happen. Thank the Lord.
We made it.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Sometimes it can be a nightmare, right?
Oh, man. It seems like every day at this point, it's like we're so integrated with technology. It makes things incredible until it doesn't.
I know, right? It's scary to think, like, what happens if it all goes down. Like, even for a day.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. There's been a few moments. Yeah, there's been a few moments where, like, perfect example, like servers going down. I feel like Facebook and Instagram have gone out and everyone's like, what do I do? How do I even like operate in life? It's craziness.
My thing is when GPS goes down. If GPS goes down, we're like all fucked.
Trying to find a map. Who even like sells maps anymore?
No one knows how to read a map. I went for a walk with my girlfriend the other day, and there were some kids do it. There's a thing in the UK called the Duke of Edinburgh, which is it's like a thing that you do at school. There's like multiple levels, and part of the Duke of Edinburgh is you go into the hills and you like walk, but you have to like navigate via a map. And they got lost. Like I was on a walk in the hills, and these kids had got lost, and they were like, "Look, we're trying to get to here, but our teacher told us this way." And I was like, you can't expect me to read a map. Like I can't read a map. I can tell you where to go because I know this area, but like I can't read a map.
Yeah, seriously. It's like it's totally a thing of the past. It reminds me, we were shopping for like a present or something at Nordstrom, me and my wife, and there was like a little girl that was in front of us, and she points up at this picture behind the register, and she's like, "Dad, what is that?" And he goes, "That's a newspaper." And we're like, "Oh my God, it is." Things are just changing so rapidly.
Well, I was talking to Ryan, my manager, the other day, and we were talking about kids driving, like, because he's got young kids. And he was like, I don't ever think my kids will learn to drive. Like, I think they will all be autonomous, like, driving by then. Which, if you think about it, like, how old do you start driving in America? Like 15, 16. Like, That's like, maybe in like 10 years' time, probably won't be driving.
Yeah. Yeah, you see all those like Waymo cars, and there's all this conversation about Uber shifting to driverless and all that stuff. Like it's totally a possibility. Now you got me thinking. My wife and I just had our first child. Our daughter was born like 4 months ago now, and so all of these things, like, I don't know. You got me thinking, like, is she gonna drive?
I don't think she will.
Yeah,
I don't think she will.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility.
Because like I think in the UK, it's like they're saying that all cars have to be electric by like 2030 or something like that, or 2035, which is 10 years time. Like if all cars are electric, surely there comes a point when it's like, well, yeah, you don't need to drive.
Who needs to drive? Yeah. Computer drives better than us anyways.
Scary, man. Scary.
Yeah, it's crazy.
One thing that I do think is never going to change is in-person concerts and festivals. And
totally.
There's something that for me that like during COVID and all of that, everyone was like, oh yeah, we can do these streaming concerts, but like they fell off so fucking quickly. So quickly. The minute people could, like, human connection is so key, which kind of like is one of the reasons why I brought you onto the podcast. You're obviously a DJ producer yourself, but you're co-founder of Deep Tropics, which is a festival based out of Nashville.
Yep.
And I really just want to dig into what it takes to run a festival from start to finish. I know, like, it's it's really interesting, and I know people on the podcast or listeners of the podcast love like the industry talk of like how shit works. And
Totally.
I've had Mark Newton on the podcast who looks after Field Day, Snow Bombing, used to look after
Oh yeah.
Printworks. Um,
Yeah.
and I would like to like you guys, I believe, are a truly independent festival.
Yep.
And I kind of want to get into the crux of like, why did you start this festival to start with? And then we can go into a little bit more detail of what the festival is about and how it's run.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for that. I appreciate the question. I appreciate you having me on too. Super stoked to be on it. Uh, yeah, I think it's important to look at like independent festival layer, and then even just like human experiences, like you spoke about, because uh, yeah, during COVID, like the whole VR thing was booming, like the whole
Mm,
metaverse thing was coming around, and I got into it a little bit, but to your point, it's there's nothing that beats actually being out there, being actually getting out into the community, into an experience that's like super intentional and feeling that connection, the energy that exists there. Um, but to your question of why did we start Deep Tropics? So in 2017, I was running a studio in East Nashville, and met my business partner Blake, who was the visionary for Deep Tropics alongside of his twin brother Joel, and they had the vision for just creating a 2-day festival. Blake had been promoting in Nashville for like 10 years prior, and we can get into more details of the ebbs and flows in the Nashville scene, but
mm,
it felt like the right time to really activate a larger event. And it was about the time that dubstep, I guess just electronic as a whole, was really ramping up in the States. Um, you know, dubstep had kind of ramped in the 2010s, dipped off. House was really starting to boom. And Nashville, although it's Music City with electronic specifically, I think it's always just been maybe like a step behind, like larger markets like New York, LA, even London. Um, and so we were starting to really see indicators that would make sense to launch an electronic event. So that was the initial catalyst. There's kind of a bit more there, but that's how it all started.
what's the bit more?
So Blake and Joel had gotten a degree at, I think it was sustainable development, in college, and so they were super aware of, number one, just like sustainability initiatives as a whole, and then a lot of like the mindfulness stuff that was going on in the West Coast, a lot of the breath work, yoga, meditation, that side of things, had already started. And so like bringing together this kind of holistic, more intentional event was a part of the deep ethos. It's
Mm.
obviously taken time to educate people on it, get them excited about that side of things, and truly integrate it into the experience. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's hard when you're trying to do multiple things at the same time, right? As in run a music festival and then also kind of try and get the whole point across about the music festival that it's not just about music.
yeah, 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 totally. Dude, I'm like triggered by the doing too many things at once. It's that seems to be like the trend these days in general. But yeah, as it pertains to like the festival space, there's a lot of moving parts that come together, whether it's like a 1-day event or
Mm.
multiple days. And especially when you have more things like workshops, ice baths, yoga. We just launched our sustainability conference last year, and so when you take the already broad scope of a festival and then integrate things further, there's a quite a lift to activate everything together.
Yeah, totally. Nashville obviously is a massive music hub in the world, mostly for country music.
Yep.
And I know electronic music's always had a place there, but it's always been a tough time. It's not an easy road, Nashville, for electronic music. That's my experience, if I'm honest. Like,
Yeah.
there's a core crew of people that want to go to parties, but so why a festival? Because a festival has so much more risk to a certain extent, or does it not?
Yeah, I would say so. Especially when you're putting together these bigger lineups, building multiple stages, like the risk from an expense perspective, definitely grows quickly. Um, and I think it's a great question. Why a festival? I think it offers, if done correctly, no pun intended, but like a deeper experience.
Yeah.
Um, you're able to create this world that people can step
Mm.
into a bit more. Um, and I think it can be done through a one day event, or even you know little smaller parties. But when you grab a whole weekend and kind of allow people to step into that experience and that mindset, it has more opportunity.
Well, I totally get that as well, because I think if you're comparing it to like the generic club show, right? Like
Hmm.
we're unless you're putting on massive venues, or like you really have a skill at finding unique venues for every single one of your shows, which is hard in any
Hmm.
city in the world. Is hard unless it's completely lawless, where you can just throw a party wherever you want. But let's be honest,
Totally.
in 99% of the cities in the Western world, you can't do that. So I think
Yeah.
like by creating a festival, I've never really thought about it like that, but like by creating a festival, it's people aren't going to work in the day and then just coming for escapism in the evening. They're going away for the
Hmm.
weekend, the Friday, the Saturday, or the Saturday or the Sunday, and they're just making the most of just like escaping their life, getting
Hmm.
immersed into the community around them of that festival. I've never really thought about it like that, but it makes complete sense. And I guess, does that make it easier to sell a show when it comes to creating more experiences, because you're going to something that you've not been to before? Whereas I think, this is no dig at Nashville, but the venues in Nashville aren't made for electronic music, right?
Totally.
They're really not. And
Totally.
just like in a lot of places in the world, especially in America, there's some great venues, some of the best venues in the world in America, but also in some of the cities that aren't even population of small, but just they're just not known for electronic music. It's tough to
Yep.
find a great club, which then means that kind of talking about like telling the story of electronic music is even harder as a
Mhm.
promoter, which then kind of makes it worth putting a bigger event on than just a club party.
Yeah, you really nailed it. And there's a few things that I want to note through that. I think number one, just Nashville historically, yeah, it's a lot of the venues have been built for bands. It's kind of an older model, and it's worth questioning that model, because like the kind of unilateral experience of like we all stand here and we watch this person on stage. I think that should it's worth questioning that, especially when it comes to electronic. I
Yeah.
think some of the best club environments that I've been to treat the whole space and allow people to fall into the whole experience. And part of the experience is like engaging with people in the dance as well as the DJ. But it's not just like we all stand here and dance this
Mm.
way.
Yeah, it's
Like,
really interesting you say that, because I totally agree with you, but I guess like let's talk about Nashville on a micro or macro level. I never know which way it
mhm,
is, but
yeah, yeah.
like the Ryman Theatre, like
Oh man,
that's a, and I think this is what we're
that's a
talking
that's a
about,
good
right?
example.
Right.
Yeah.
We're talking about like that theater or auditorium, whatever you want to call it now, is iconic and is it stands apart as a venue, and that's why it's been going for so
Yeah.
long, right?
Yep.
And I think that's why where we're talking is that I think in the design of venues and how promoters, DJs, artists kind of look at venues and build venues, I don't think it's necessarily the best way that we do it in the electronic world. We find
Yeah.
a square room and we put two speakers at the front and put a DJ booth and hope everyone has a good time.
Right.
Whereas you look at some of look at like the Albert Hall in London, if you know what I mean. Look at Coco in London. Like
Mhm.
even look at Fabric as a club in London. Like
Yeah.
these iconic venues, although they weren't, some of them were specific venues and made to be venues,
Mhm.
but they hold and last because there's something unique about them.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, and to the point about the Ryman and even Fabric, you mentioned Printworks earlier, like there's a tangible environment in those spaces. There's a lot of history, whether it's from its time as a venue or even prior to it,
Yeah,
which I think Printworks was like a factory
yeah.
before then. Um, when there's that type of like defined environment, it just adds to the experience and allows, even if it's a bunch of seats pointed one way, that there's
Yeah.
like a felt experience through that.
Mm. But I guess in a festival you don't have to do that.
Yeah, you're technically building it from the ground up. So you have the opportunity to think about like the festival goers experience from the gates through like the vendors, from all the different stages, and yeah, you have the opportunity to build the whole experience from the
Mm.
ground up.
So year on year, Deep Tropics is August 15th, 16th, I believe.
Yep,
Um, so how far out? Like, I want to go like step by step.
sure.
Day one of planning next year, right? When does that
Yep.
start?
At this point, we're really thinking in multiple years.
Okay.
The as far as like a lot of the talent buying, we'll be like earmarking different artists that we want to collaborate with, and especially with teams that we have closer relationships with, we can be aware of like when they're dropping music and like how things flow, just where they're heading, to like properly collaborate with them and really like partner activating their brand within our branded experience. Um, Tickets go on sale the day uh, the festival happens, so we'll already be on sale for tickets next
Oh,
year,
really? Wow.
at the
Day
festival.
of.
Yeah, yep, yeah.
Is
So
that
it's
only at the festival you can buy those tickets, or is that online as well?
yeah. So there's a short window that we'll be selling kind of like pre-sales, super early bird
Yeah.
tickets, initially, and then we'll take them off sale for a little bit. And in that time, we're really like strategizing, looking at how previous year festival went, everything from production to marketing to ops, all that stuff,
Yeah.
and kind of gathering thoughts to reactivate for next year. But the turnaround and reactivation towards the next year happens pretty quickly.
So it's just always on.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
What's the
Yeah.
first thing that gets done? Is it the lineup? Is it the like what is how does it step by step through work? Like what is that first activation that you
Yeah,
as a team have to get together and talk about?
yeah, I think it's the lineup. Because it's a music festival first, I think the lineup curation is definitely the first priority. Just being that there's so many different artists on different stages, and like nailing amongst people's tour schedules and like fitting in, not only, I hate to say it, but like the whole cloud thing like plays a factor in it, but
Yeah.
more so from our perspective, like the activation and like the run a show so that there's like a seamless
Yeah.
experience. Um, those different factors cause it to be, it takes months, and then even for headliners, like we got to start earmarking people a year out
Yeah.
and even further.
It's really interesting because I think you forget how big of an operation it is. What's the capacity?
Yeah, so 10,000 people a day, uh, as we have it laid out currently. The beautiful thing about the park is that Bicentennial Park, which is right in front of the state capitol there in Nashville, it's kind of like a long, thin park, and we can continue to expand within the park. So as the festival grows, we can kind of reformat the
Mm,
the layout. But this year, yeah, 10,000 people a day.
10,000. And do you, okay, so like when you're planning for next year, right? And I know we're not even at year what, we're not even this year yet, but when you're planning for
Yeah.
next year, are you always planning for growth, or are you planning for sustainability of like, okay, no, I want to keep the 10,000 that we got and make sure that they all come back? Like, what is the goal on that?
That is a great question. So I think leading up till now, we've just been uh, aiming to continue to grow, to get to a place where we're really like financially sustainable. Ramping up to close to where we're at right now gets us to a decent place. But I think the thing that there's a tension with is the community feeling.
Mm,
With these larger festivals, you can kind of, it's a good and a bad thing. You can get lost in that big of a sea of people, and I think to some people it can be a little bit overwhelming. Um, and so I think aiming to keep it smaller so that it maintains this intimate community feeling, I think
yeah.
is definitely a big priority.
Yeah, I think it's kind of lost nowadays to a certain extent. And I don't know why. You'll probably be able to tell me more. It's maybe a more of a finance thing. But I think I I played the very first Dirty Bird camp out when Dirty Bird was doing its thing, and like that was like 4,000 people, and there was
Yeah,
just it. I think people were like, no, it's more of like an event. I'm like, no, it's a festival. People are camping. There's multiple stages. It's like it's a vibe, and I think there was something about that obviously it was the first time that happened, and also it was a small amount. It was a small enough of people that you'd see the same person multiple times that day,
yeah,
if you know what I mean. And like you could walk
yeah,
around and you
totally.
could make friends and you could do that. Whereas like, and this is not me saying one's better than the other, but you then look at the
Yeah,
EDCs or the Glastonburys, right, where
totally,
they're so fucking big, you're gonna lose yourself in them, if you know what I mean. Um,
totally.
but is the goal to get as big as EDC, or is it like is that the dream?
No, I don't think so. I think, at least for me, I think maintaining that intimacy and leaning into the vibe that you're speaking of with Dirty Bird Camp Out, to where you really like, okay, you get thrown into a group of people that you're going to meet new people, whatever, but you have the opportunity to like deepen a connection with a consistent group of people rather than, okay, I met someone yesterday, no chance I'm seeing them again.
Yeah, totally. Um, when it comes to booking lineups, who's the main people that have final say on that, or is it a group decision?
Yeah, I think it's we work through it with like a core group. Blake, my business partner, who's been, like I said, he's been talent buying in Nashville for a long time. He drives that forward. But when we're trying to really like serve the community, we definitely talk through it, and especially like the changing landscape of Nashville. Like there's so many people moving from
Yeah,
New York, LA, London, Miami, even, that we want to stay aware of that influx, and even just like how quickly the culture is changing, that we're
mm.
adhering to that cultural change, with, meanwhile still like kind of educating and curating amongst that.
How has that affected Nashville in like a positive way and a negative. Like talk about the pros and cons because I think yeah, Nashville has huge amount of musical culture and history, and there's probably a lot of people moving there that don't have a clue.
Yeah, totally. It's very interesting. I've been living in Nashville for about 12 years. So I've got like a decent scope on it, obviously more limited than people who have been there for decades, but
Yeah.
I've definitely seen it change quite a bit, even in the decade or so that I've been there. I think Nashville as a whole is like a very collaborative place. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio originally,
Mm.
and I was working at a studio there prior to moving to Nashville, and Cleveland's awesome. It's got a special place in my heart, but like the music scene, if you want to call it that, is like it's pretty dog eat dog.
Yeah.
And um, moving to Nashville, where historically, like people have come to write their albums to co-write with other people. People live there as writers, and like the co-writing collaborative spirit is like very felt there. Um, I think that's being maintained. It feels like there's still like a very big collaborative spirit there.
Yeah.
Um, how it's changing is pretty interesting to watch because 10 years ago it was pretty much all country. I mean, there's a lot of
Mm.
Americana rock, that type of stuff.
Honky tonk, that type of vibe.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That is definitely like the mainstream culture there, and you're starting to see like DJs playing electronic music on Broadway still kind of blows me away because
Yeah.
like when I first moved there, that was not a thing.
Is it happening?
And oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
Really?
Yeah, it's like most of the rooftops either play electronic consistent. Granted, it's like
Commercial.
top 40 remixes and
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. But I don't know. There's even a few DJs that are like hip to the culture and like still will play the country remixes, but work in some pretty tasteful stuff amongst it.
Mm. How do you feel about
And
that though?
just you know what? I think it's cool to see. I think with historically, especially in my time that I've spent in Nashville, electronic has been underground. It's been like you
Yeah.
have to really dig to get there. And it's pretty cool because it keeps a lot of the surface level people out that don't really care about the culture. Um, and bigger venues opening up that are playing electronic stuff. It happening on Broadway. It plays like top of funnel and like lets people know that it even exists. And
Yeah.
then for the people that want more, like want a deeper experience, you know, they'll search for it. So
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's definitely it's I don't know, for me it's like a double-edged sword where like I kind of just want Nashville to stay country, right? Like I want to go down
Yeah.
Broadway and just listen to country music, and that's just me being fucking selfish because you don't get it anywhere else, really, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
like maybe New
Yeah.
Orleans, you get it slightly, but then there's also that like things have to evolve, and if it wasn't for the influx of people moving to Nashville,
Yeah.
especially after COVID or during COVID, Nashville wouldn't be Nashville in that sense. It
Hmm.
wouldn't grow. There wouldn't be evolution in the city or in the town. It would have just remained little old Nashville. And I think it's important. There's you see a lot of these, like look at Austin now. Like
Hmm.
Austin's almost like the new LA or the new New York to a certain extent, where so many people have moved there, even like Arizona,
Hmm.
and it's making these places that would never have been places
Yep.
interesting and like hot pots of like or melting pots of like different cultures.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a really great shout. And I think like working to maintain a lot of the identity of Nashville is important. Like rather than just like wiping out everything that ever, like all the culture, and just like creating this almost like bland melting pot that doesn't adhere to the existing culture would be short-sighted, you know, like
Yeah.
you'd lose out a lot of great things.
Mm.
And honestly, to that point, like living in Nashville over the last 12 years, I've come to find country music that I love. This dude Charlie Crockett is one of my favorites. And I think that there's, no matter the genre of music, there's stuff that's going to resonate with people and stuff that won't. I like to see stuff that there's a level of passion, whether at the artist or at the listener level. There's almost like this like investment that you can tell that people like really care about
Mm.
it. Um, and I think there's a lot of that. There's obviously tons of examples like that where there's really incredible artists that are pouring their heart and souls into their music, into their live experiences that should definitely be maintained, as well as like the aesthetic of the city because
Yeah,
it's a
I
pretty
agree.
cool town too.
I fucking love it. The houses are beautiful. It's amazing there.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
totally.
so I want to talk finances.
Let's do
Um,
it.
I want to talk like how much does it cost to put on a festival like this?
Oh, um, millions of dollars
Yeah.
annually. Um, yeah, between production costs, operational costs, talent budget, marketing costs, like it's been an expensive landscape, but
Mm.
then especially during COVID and like all the inflation that's been felt across everything, it's gotten incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
And we definitely feel that, especially as a smaller festival, because number one, we don't want to just like pass on that inflation to the ticket buyers and just like drive, you know, so that people have to spend $1,000 to
Yeah.
go to a 2 day festival. But inevitably, some of that has to, because otherwise, we're not going to be able to sustain as a company.
Well, you still have to run a business, right? At the end of the
Yeah,
day, like although you're doing this to kind of create culture and help the Nashville scene and grow the Nashville scene, let's be honest, you still need to make money.
yep, yep. And it's amazing how many hidden costs just over the lifetime of the festival
Tell me about some of
arise.
them.
Shit, I'm trying to think. Like, you know, just like random upcharges for production. Like you have like the initial festival build, and then all of a sudden, like you get a request from an artist for some like additional lights or whatever, and then all of a sudden you need um, you know, just different like stage requirements and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Or and then like the deco on the stages or like the signage. Like there's just a million and one different areas that you can the the expenses can grow. And it's kind of like what's the death by a thousand cuts
Yeah.
thing. It just can grow in a bunch of small increments, but really quickly into all of a sudden like, well, there's 300,000 of extra expenses that we weren't accounting for. So
Yeah.
it can happen pretty quickly, and especially after COVID, when like it seems like the whole economy is shifting on a daily
How
basis.
do you manage a budget like that though? Like, first of all, where is the funding coming from?
Yeah, so we have a couple investors with the festival, and then through sponsorships, and then like our ticket partnership, uh, that kind of as a whole handles the financing.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting process because you know who was I talking to? Anyways, I was talking to somebody about the accounting of festivals, and like these spreadsheets that we have going are just so insane. And like you know they have to be updated like on a like daily basis at least.
Yeah.
And there's so many different factors that go into it. Um, but yeah, because some of our financing is through, just like straight cash, and then some's handled as like credit or debt. Um, the the cash flow of like ticket sales coming in, and different expenses, and the cadences of the different expenses,
Mm,
it's like an ongoing process. And I think, to your question of like how do you handle that,
yeah.
um, I've been getting into like automation, and I've got like a tech project that I've been working on. So I've been getting in, learning at least like high level coding stuff, working with different APIs, and trying to streamline that stuff as much as possible so that there's the least amount of work copying data from one place to another,
Mm,
and just pipelining that data so that we're looking at it and processing it,
yeah.
because that's the end goal.
Yeah, data's hard, right? And the joys of AI is game changing right now.
Oh my
Like you
gosh.
can do crazy shit.
It's
Absolutely mad.
honestly like, yeah, it's a game changer. It is definitely a big factor for financially sustaining as a small business in 2025. Like, you can scale your operations through code, no code stuff, traditional code, even AI agents, and you
Yeah.
can maintain a small team while scaling the operations of it. I think it's a massive impact for
Yeah.
for us as a small business.
So talking about marketing, marketing I think is the be all and end all of anything in this world now. It's like
Yeah,
even for us as artists, like if you're not a good marketer, you're not having any success unless
yeah,
your music is just unbelievably fucking good that everyone has to have it. But still, there's still a level of marketing that kind of comes involved with that.
yeah.
Um, what is your like marketing? Like, how do you market the festival? How do you sell tickets? Like, what are the main ways that you do that?
Yeah, I'm so glad we're talking about this. So I think, yeah, because I've worked with artists, and I've seen good marketing strategies and a ton of bad marketing strategies, or just like surface level approaches.
Yeah,
I think I forget who said this, but when selling like a product or service, like if you're selling a drill, you don't sell the drill, you sell the hole.
yeah,
So you sell like the outcome of what you're trying to sell. And it gets really interesting when you parallel that to music, whether that's as an artist or with live experiences, because you're kind of you're selling an experience,
yeah.
which I would define as like kind of a nuanced group of emotions that are felt throughout that experience. Again, whether it's the music or a live event. Um, so if you're thinking about with Deep Tropics, a lot of feedback that we've had, obviously, like the exciting environment, and like the tropic state of mind. Like, there's like a kind of a warm, feel good environment.
Yeah.
It's clean. Like, we divert 87% of our waste, and like, there's not just trash everywhere, which
Mm,
feels really good. Um, so we're selling that good feeling. We're selling the exciting environment, but then we're selling like that connection that's felt through community.
mm,
Um, and that's something that we constantly hear back, is that community that you feel like. There's so many stories about people that have met their partner, their spouse, that their best friend at Tropics, which is like the most heartwarming to hear. That we're able to make that like lasting impact on people's lives.
yeah.
Um, and so, when it comes to marketing, it becomes a game of, okay, we have this group of people that's interested in electronic music, that, or at least is curious about it, but will resonate with those those emotions through the experience. And how do we bottle that up through
Yeah.
content, through PR, through influencer marketing, just all the different channels
Mm.
that the marketing will go out through.
Is influencer marketing a big thing for you guys?
So I think it is a big thing for everyone these days.
Yeah.
I think it's something that we're activating more. Um, compared to my wife has a fitness franchise, and they have like a corporate they have a corporate marketing team that kind of feeds them marketing strategies, and that corporation is talking about influencer marketing all the time. But where we land with influencer marketing is really like looking at our existing community and then applying kind of influencer marketing strategies
Yeah.
through that.
How do you do that?
Um, um, through like capturing the messages that, number one, we hear back from our community. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, that this is what you love about it. Let's structure this in a way that we can win together through you sharing your messages. Um, and it's a series of those like kind of partnerships with our community that then, when done in tandem, can like amplify all the
Yeah.
marketing efforts as a whole.
Mm.
And it's really interesting to see too, because I don't know if you caught wind, but Drake marketed his whole last
It's really
album.
clever.
It's super interesting, and the
Mm.
incentive, which this seems to be changing pretty quickly, rather than like paying an influencer like thousands of dollars per post, it's incentivized through reach.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you get this in front of 1 million people, then sick. We'll pay you accordingly. And if it flops and doesn't go out to anybody, let's post more.
I think it's a beautiful concept,
Yeah.
but I don't think it necessarily always works in a sense of um it being fair,
Mm.
because I think, but I do agree with you, because I think especially in the music industry, as artists, as promoters, you pay a lot. As record labels, you pay a lot for eyes and ears on your stuff, and a lot of the time it
Yep.
doesn't hit. A lot of what you're paying for doesn't work, right?
Yep.
And I think there's sometimes an expectation that, okay, I'm paying for this, I should get, let's say I pay $1 for this, I should get $1 worth, right? And it doesn't ever
Yeah.
work like that. It never
Yeah.
works like
Totally.
that. So with the Drake thing, it's really interesting, but I think on the scale of where Drake sits, he can do that.
Yeah.
I I think there's a level of like, just purely because there's so much noise. Like when you
Hmm.
have 1 million, 10 million, 100 million followers, you
Yep.
only need 1% of those to post about one thing, and the whole world knows about it, right?
Yep.
Whereas when you've got 100,000 followers and 1% talks about it, and that
Yep.
1% aren't that influential, it's pretty hard to kind of even make any noise.
Yep. Well, and especially too, on top of Drake's, millions of followers, he's got tons of cash too. So
Yeah.
that helps the incentives.
Yeah, totally.
But I do think you're kind of poking at something that's interesting for artists, that I think I really hope things will continue to change in a positive direction for artists, because it, obviously I know so many artists that are like working two jobs and like, struggling to make ends meet, don't have any cash to
Yeah.
put into like studio time or into their content or marketing dollars or anything like that. And hopefully, for people that have tens, if not hundreds of thousands of followers, that hopefully there's like, I don't know if you want to call it like social equity, or that there's just like this connection with the
Mm,
following that's deeper than the Drakes, the Rihannas, whatever. That, yeah, they may have a ton of followers, but their connection with the
zero.
majority of them is pretty shallow.
Yeah.
And hopefully something will come about to where, number one, that music is valued more, because I think we're in a massive dip there. Um, but then even through the experiences and even through social media, that artists can start to feel their worth a bit more, and hopefully that translates to their fan bases sharing their shit
Yeah,
more
I
too.
totally agree. I think it's in a really bad place right now. I think
Totally.
genuinely is, and I think it's gonna get worse before it gets better. And like you'll be able to comment on it, like as booking a festival, like you see the disproportionate DJ fees, right? You
Yeah.
see how much certain people are getting compared to other people, and I actually don't have an issue with that. I think the headliners sell all the tickets, right? Let's be
Yep.
honest. Like the headliners sell the tickets, and then everybody else below is generally a little bit more interested than the headliners.
Yep.
And then they're the ones that people can kind of introduce. So it's kind of like, okay, we're going to book you. You're worth this amount of tickets to us. So this is how much you get. But I
Hmm.
think the hard thing is now is that we're and if you disagree, push back on it. But I feel like
Oh
we're
yeah.
kind of moving into that where it was in the EDM days, where the headliners are getting hundreds of
Oh my
thousands
gosh.
for fees. Okay, so let's say for instance the headliner might get, let's say 250, right?
Sure.
250 grand. Just use that for example.
Sure.
The person below them gets 50 grand, right?
Yep.
And then the person below that gets 10 grand. And then
Yep.
the person below that gets 2 grand, right? So
Yep.
on a lineup that's not me saying that those people shouldn't earn that much money, but the
Hmm.
difference between it's not even the top two, it's not even the 250 and the 50 I'm worried about. I'm worried about the tens and the ones.
Yep.
Um, just purely because in a case of a promoter, it does the value doesn't that the value of that artist doesn't add any ticket sales to a certain extent, or it might add a small amount of ticket sales. But also as an artist, that money doesn't necessarily, like, the cost of touring is so
Hmm.
high,
Yep.
and you're not earning money from your music. So that is your only income. And then on top of that, you have to pay for content creation. And then on top of that, you have to pay for travel. And on top of that, you have to pay for hotels. And on top of, like, so if you're getting like a grand to 2 grand, you're losing money. You're paying to play.
Totally.
And I think that's where I think the industry, you see it with bands. That's why there's no fucking new bands coming along, because it just costs so
Hmm.
much money to tour. And it's definitely an interesting time, but I think it will get worse before it gets better. I don't know what the
Yeah.
answer is. Do you?
Well, so I think you look at those top level artists, and it's not to say that it's wrong for them to charge that much. And especially when you look at it as like on like an international global scale, like the top line acts, if they go to Miami, New York, LA, they're able to charge,
Yeah.
you know, an exorbitant amount of money to
Yeah.
play. And when when they're filling out their dates from smaller markets, we kind of get lumped into that pricing a bit, it
Yeah.
seems. And I think it's kind of the nature of it. And I totally get it. Like, especially for top level acts, especially through the summer, they only have so many dates that they can fill.
Mm.
And they're, we're competing with fucking
Everybody.
Ibiza,
Yeah.
Berlin, whatever, um, for those dates. So we get kind of priced into that. But the tough part, and it's a great scope to look at it, is like, how does that affect the bottom line artists? And it puts them in a really tough place to where, yeah, you're like coming out of pocket to like play gigs, and it creates this like incredibly long road for artists to even make it to a financially sustainable place.
It's
So
also
I
that
don't.
catch it's also that catch 22, right? Of like you guys as a festival, right? Okay, let's use like this year's lineup for, right? Let me just pull it up.
Mhm.
Um so okay, just Chris Lake alone, right?
Yep.
He can come to Nashville and sell 10,000 tickets probably by himself. Like
Yeah.
financially, it makes more sense for you guys as a festival to book Chris Lake and maybe
Yep.
one other artist and not do a fucking festival, right? Like
Hmm.
if we're talking real business sense, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what you're doing is you're trying to grow a scene and trying to kind of give people more of an experience.
Yep.
And I think that's the thing that I don't necessarily think a lot of people think about in the industry, is that like these festivals, especially small independent festivals, I know actually all festivals are trying to create a moment for people to experience and have a good time.
Yeah, I really appreciate that perspective, because that is like deeply in our intention, is to drive the local scene forward, to educate people on kind of up and coming acts, a lot of like the sustainability and mindfulness stuff that we're trying to integrate into the festival. But yeah, that it really is our intention to drive culture forward. And like I said before, alongside of bringing through dope people that everyone will want to see.
Mm.
So yeah, I think from the finances, it, what I hope is that we can continue to find people like yourself who share our priorities, that are willing to connect, not only like between us but with fans. Like I think you really do a great job of being present, like not just like posting on social media, but like
Yeah.
being interacting with people, and even being down to do this, and leading into the festival, just different activations. There's a subset of artists that are willing to connect and have a deeper set of intentions. And I hope that through growing the festival, that we can continue to find people that are willing to collaborate on that level, and you know, down to link and build.
I think it's just so important, and I think this is the thing is what a lot of artists, promoters, for everyone can do it and forget what we're doing it for and why we're doing it, right? And I
Mhm.
think it's like I get it when somebody gets to a certain level. It's really hard, like what you were saying about with Drake, right? Like it's really hard to connect with your fans when you're that big. And
Yeah,
but I just don't think there's any DJs that are that big, if you know what I mean.
yeah,
Even the animas of the world, like there's still a level to connect
yep,
with your fans. But I think what it is I think sometimes we can forget that like that there we wouldn't be doing this if there wasn't fans. We wouldn't be doing this if people weren't buying tickets or listening to our music. Well, we would be doing it if they weren't listening to our music, because music pays shit. But
yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah.
if people weren't buying tickets to our shows or coming to see us at festivals or like turning up to your festival slot or
Mhm.
commenting on your Instagrams or whatever that is, like we wouldn't be doing it. And I think there's always got to be a level of like giving back to the community and just being like, well, actually, like, and sometimes giving back to the community is working with more independent promoters that want to just drive culture.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, man. I think, well, you look at even Chris Lake. I think he does a great job of it too, with
Yeah.
his live streams. Um, there's just like a felt connection with what he does. So I think it's possible, um,
100%.
but it takes intention, and it takes, like you're saying, it takes celebrating the community and giving back and understanding. I think it was Steve Jobs that said culture is built from the bottom up, not the top down, and
100%. Yeah.
and celebrating that amongst the community is really
Yeah,
important.
man. Totally. Um, Dude, I'm really looking forward to coming. I'm really looking forward to playing. Thanks for having me on the lineup this year. I'm really, really looking forward to it. Is there anything? How can people get tickets if they haven't got tickets? How can people get involved with the community of Deep Tropics? Tell the people where to go?
Yeah. So I think if you're looking to get tickets, deeptropics.org. Got everything live there. Getting involved and being aware of the different things that we have going leading up. We've got like lead-in parties, Wave Club, which Will, you played in 2019. Shouts out.
Yeah, I remember that. Was that
But then,
2019?
yeah, it's
Wow.
crazy, right?
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah. So we've got lead-in events. We're going to have, a few different like community activations, just like different touch points to get our Tropics community rallied prior to the festival. We're going to be sharing stuff on socials just about like the importance of like breath work and meditation and really sharing the deeper topics that we have beneath our festival. So, Deep Tropics on Instagram. And yeah, Will, super excited to have you involved. Thanks so much for having me on.
Oh, man, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. Big love. Till next time.
Big love. Talk soon, man.
And that's a wrap. Thanks to John for coming on. I really enjoyed that one. I think it's gave you guys a lot of insight about the festival world. If you got any more questions, please slide into the DMs or let us know in the captions. Go subscribe. Love you lots. Till next time.